Good evening, Bula Vinaka, Bula Maleka, and evening greetings to you all from all of us here in the Fiji Islands. We hope and pray that you are all doing well and that you've had a very great week. This year has gone by very fast and we're coming to the end of July already. Just 5 more months and we're done with 2021, and I know it hasn't been an easy year for most of us, but God's constant love has kept us going throughout. We must apologize once again that we couldn't come on last week due to the power disruption in our area, but we praise God that today we are able to bring this program to you once again, all by the grace of God. Well, we welcome you back to our family program, From Our Family to Yours, where we hope you will be encouraged and blessed through the stories shared and lessons learned in our family's journey. We welcome each and every one of you and your families from around Fiji, and also a big Bula welcome to you all, our global family, joining us as well from different parts of the world. We greet you all in the matchless name of our Lord Jesus Christ. If you are new to this program, thank you for joining in, and we also welcome you, our brothers and sisters of other faiths. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We welcome you and your families, and we hope that you will be blessed with the program. Kita sa bakambula taltikiani ni mbula vinaka ni mata vinaka mai na veokani ni sem taltiko mai na mbongi vinaka ni kuwa kita nuitaka ni tos maleka na vingarabi na madha ongo ko ni mbula maleka tiko sebe bakana bunua ni sarsarting mai kina na kamni kuwa kemni batkena nomni matubale kita bakambula tikiani ka kita kinda bakemni ka kita nuitaka ni na mbongi ni kuwa ni na maro taka na programamu sa tubani tu nikua. Me bakau kaitikani sa totol sartingo na bakiongo da sa bonga ngo ili matal na bula me sa maida talikina na bakirosa ronandolo rosang vulkan dua. Sengan yang bakirara lebu weekenda ia da bakabin nak tinga na kalo na nonololoma weekenda. Sengan bakando ni besau kaya londina tunga. Ni sa kinda bakito bakotalitiko sa nito masu ni namarotak na program na kami ko. Shout out once again to our partners and sponsors for this program. Hey, if you or any of your families are looking for Kalavata materials or t-shirts for your family occasions, group events, or anything of that sort, then ABL Designs is the place to go. They specialize in screen printing and also provide professional tailoring for all occasions. And tonight, as you can see, we are wearing once again one of their many beautiful designs, and they have a wide range that you can choose from. So if you're looking for materials, then please check them out. For lights, LED screens, sound, then Elevation Events is the company you can call up, also at a very reasonable price. To these companies, thank you so much for your love and support towards this program. We appreciate your support and your sponsorship through this journey. Okay, tonight's topic is a very interesting one, right? And I am sure that everyone that's watching tonight will relate. Let me start off by saying there are many types of relationship that people develop over time. And the most important by far is, of course, the family relationship, which is the focus of this program. And I believe that it is here that the impact of social media can be seen the most. Earlier, back in the days, families would bond over face-to-face conversations that would be had with one another when everybody was done with their day's work and were at home unwinding. Well, these days, families barely greet one another sometimes, and everyone is engrossed in their own new posts on their social media accounts, watching videos, reacting to posts online, and responding to friends seem to have become more important than even saying hello to one another. Yes, social media, I believe, has in a way made our lives easier And there are many great impacts of it. And I, for one, I'm very grateful for technology. But when one is not careful, this affects the social institution of family the most. Social media making us unsocial. Tonight, we will share our experience as a family and how social media has impacted us. But before we go into that, I'll give it to Dad to share a few lines.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us again tonight. Such a great topic, and a topic that is relevant, especially in the context of family, when we talk about the impact of social media. Now, I think from the outset, we need to admit and understand as well that social media is here to stay.
Yes.
Right? This is part of life. We cannot stop it. It is here to stay, but I guess it's a matter of how we take control of it. Like in everything in life, there are things in life that are inevitable. We cannot escape from. And just in the nature of things and the times that are changing and technology of the day, social media is here to stay. I thought I would just start by sharing what is actually the purpose of social media, right? And I've been doing some reading, some research, and there are 4 main purposes of social media. And it go by the acronym SLIM, S-L-I-M. So if you can just remember these 4 letters, S-L-I-M, which is SLIM. If you go by these 4 letters or the acronym, the first purpose of social media is sharing. It's a place of sharing of ideas where you communicate your ideas, trying to influence others for good or for bad. You will share your videos and your pictures as well, right? About what's happening in your life, in your family, and your community. So the first purpose of social media is, of course, sharing. And the second purpose, of course, is L, which is learning. Social media can be a very powerful platform or tool for learning, right? And I guess for me personally, I've done a lot of my own research while researching my sermons, right? I've done a lot of reading on social media platforms, on the internet, Google, and these kind of things. So it's a powerful learning platform if it is used for that purpose and in the right way, right? Well, I think we still have libraries today where you have books, but books are in electronic form.
Yes.
You see? So social media is a powerful learning tool. The third letter is I, which is interacting. And social media, for that matter, has broken the traditional barriers of time and distance, right? It doesn't matter really where you are in the world. You can chat with anybody now, right? Anytime, as long as you have internet access. Okay, and we have all these kinds of platforms like WhatsApp and Facebook, FaceTime, Viber, and Skype, and Zoom, and all these kind of things. So it's for interacting with one another. And the last letter is M, which is marketing. Social media is a powerful marketing tool, and big businesses, of course, are taking advantage of this particular platform to market their products. Now, for our purpose, like this program, we are on social media, aren't we? Right? And I think this is one of the best use of social media, where we are using the platform of Facebook live stream to talk about the family. And imagine the lives of people who's, that have been impacted through this particular platform. The live stream that we do on Thursday evenings on the Zone Fellowship, Sunday's worship, right? So this is where we are making the best use, if I may, the best use of social media, where we use the platform to communicate things that can help develop, right, grow people's lives, right, in whatever context that they live in. So I thought I would just start with those four things about the purpose of social media. And remember those 4 letters which go by the acronym SLIM, S-L-I-M. So social media is for sharing, social media is for learning, social media is for interacting, and social media is for marketing.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Dad. Let me just say it from the outset. Like when I was watching our last episode, I saw a comment that says that asked about how about now, like excuse me, something like that. Like how about for us who use it for daily devotions, or like we just want to let you know we're not against
No.
social media. Like we're not saying that social media is a bad thing at all.
No.
But I believe like social media has had an impact, whether good or bad, and that's why we're here today to discuss how it has impacted us as a family. And I'm sure that most moms and dads that are watching tonight will relate so much on how this has impacted the family, especially children nowadays are glued to their phones, to their gadgets. So I thought I might just say that at the beginning. Well, let's talk about social media, family. Let me start by saying, for me, I am so very grateful for technology, for social media platforms, because it allows us to do so many things. Also, instant, like, instant messaging, everything is fast. And now with the pandemic, like students have the advantage of learning online.
Yeah.
So even though they're not sitting in their classrooms because of COVID, they can still have classes via Zoom, Google Meet, like there's so many good things that social media has brought about where students can still be updated with schoolwork. I'm on this Viber group with the school that Aoyada is in. And boy, I must salute all the teachers that are making time for their students. I know it's not easy, especially when students are still trying to get used to, having classes online, struggling to wake up because of the weather as well. Some don't have gadgets to get access, so the teachers are going out of their way to make it available for them on hard copy. So there's so much that I'm sure Ministry of Education, especially in Fiji, are going through right now to try and get students to learn via online. And I know this is going to be the new normal, using social media. So that's a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing altogether.
Well, as I said from the beginning, it's here to stay.
It's here to stay.
Right?
We can't really...
We cannot completely ignore it, but we just have to be careful that it doesn't control us, right? We were made, I think this is important for people to understand, we were made as the apex of God's creation to dominate and have control over everything. So as long as we are not controlled by this, unfortunately, this is where social media can be so destructive, the negative impact on the life of individual. And then we talk about family in the life of a couple, say for instance, especially new couples today who need to spend more time talking to each other like this, instead of just talking with this thing, right? So this is something, because in marriage, there are three main problems in marriage, three big categories: communication, sex, and money. And the biggest problem is the area of communication, right? The biggest problem ever is in the area of communication. So social media, if it is not effectively controlled and used for its proper purpose, then it can take away the time that the couple needs to spend with each other to talk, right? To talk. Because this thing can be very addictive. And I know people can identify with what we're talking about. The wife is with her own smartphone, and the guy is with his own smartphone. So they're just enjoying each other's enjoying company with a smartphone instead of enjoying the company of one another, which is very, very important in terms of developing, growing their marriage. I thought I would just start with a couple, right? So it is taking away the time for social interaction, which is a human value, right? It is something that is human. We have to talk. I have to talk with her, I have to talk with you. But social media, unfortunately,
Has taken that away.
has taken that place of social interaction between couples, and also the time that the family needs to be spending together, having quality talk, quality communication, just talk. So this is something that I believe if we are not careful, right? If we are not careful, then this gadget can easily steal the time that we need to spend to talk with one another. First, as a couple, and especially for couples who have just got married and are still trying to grow their relationship, grow their marriage. They need to spend time facing each other, talking with each other, instead of spending more time with this thing.
Face-to-face
Face-to-face conversation is
Yes.
very important, especially for new couples that have just got married and are growing their family.
Yeah, I guess like most importantly, face-to-face conversation when you're together, because now, like even when they're together, they're losing out so much because they spend more time on their
Yes.
gadget, you know?
Yes.
But it's an advantage for the couple who are
Right.
away from each other,
Yes.
you know?
And sometimes they can't help it just because of
Yes.
the nature of work.
Yes.
Either the man is away overseas working, or even the wife can be away overseas. So this is where they can get together through social media. You see how powerful social media is
Yes.
for that particular context, right? And how they can talk with each other with the less expenses, right? As long as they have internet access with the less expense, they can spend a lot of time talking to each other.
Yeah, I remember for us as a family when
Yes.
Mom, Dad, and Pedi were away in Thailand, we would Skype every single day to the point where you just don't know what to say anymore. But that, you know, the form of communication, because we are not together face to face to spend quality time together as a family because distance has separated us, we made use of social media. You know, back then it was Skype, sembara na Messenger, na Facebook, na Viber, na WhatsApp, go. Yan ang sa Skype, So we made use of Skype and we would talk for hours and hours. And even when Mom and Pedi came back and Dad was still there, he would call every day. Sometimes those are sindo betalono because, you know, like you run out of things to say.
Yeah.
But that's the impact of social media. But just like Dad is saying, you know, if you use it in the right way, manage.
As I said, it's for
manage.
interaction.
Yes.
Especially if you're far away from each other. It breaks the traditional barrier of time and space.
Yes.
So we are not confined by time and space. This is the good thing, right? So if Mom or Dad is away overseas and Mom is here in Fiji with the family, boy, how they can be connected with each other, talking it over until they have nothing else to talk about.
Say.
Right?
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome use of social media. But what I'm talking about is when you are together at home and you have no time to talk to each other because you are talking with your smartphone, right? That is not good, right? Especially for new couples. And I'm not just talking about new couples, I'm talking about any couple for that matter.
Yeah.
They must have time together to talk, right? Instead of talking with your smartphone.
And also for that, I would like to add is to be, both couples have to be transparent on each other on the social media platform. Because other than that, if somebody caught one of the couples cheating on social media, something can come up and will break the family tradition of being married. And that's something people need to learn, and couples need to know that you have to be transparent with your partners for your social media accounts, because we don't know what's going on between the two of you if you are not transparent with each other. And something will come up, and something will come up, and it will break the family, the tradition and the family between the family love between the two couples. So
I guess like that's a deeper level when you get into, you know, like the relationship and social media. Going on the impact and how it affects the family when you're not careful of how you manage yourself into working with, you know, like how you use social media. But really, like for someone who works in the media industry, like how do you cope with balancing your life and interacting on social? If you know, Philly, Like I know most of you will probably know him. He works in the media industry and he gives us updates every single day of our lives. So most of the times if I don't follow the news channel, I just go to Philly's page. I know what's happening in Fiji. But for someone who works in the media industry in the country, like how do you cope? Be transparent, like you said.
Well, social media. For me personally, this is one of the things that I'm struggling with, to be honest, because this is where my line of work comes in the media industry.
Yes.
So I have to update even my workmates on what's happening. Even though I'm here in Osuri, it's the only way to communicate and giving videos and pictures of what's happening around, even though we are not able to come to the bubbles where we are staying. So this is one way of communication. But sometimes I'm struggle to coping with my family. Every time I almost like inside my own room and trying to update my co-workers.
And I've seen that, ladies and gentlemen, even in our own family. Now, we have to be transparent here, right? Most of the time, this guy is locked in his room. That guy is locked in his room, right? And now, I'm sure all of you parents know what we are talking about, right? And not only that, you know, we all have our own gadgets, right? It's just the order of the day. But it's just making sure that we are not slaves of these things.
Right.
Right? Unfortunately, this thing has become a big slave master. And we become enslaved by it. Now, going back to what Philly was saying about couples, the importance of transparency, I think one of the good things that I see happening now, couples are having a combined or joint Facebook account. So that's where transparency comes in. Now, for me personally, I don't have a private account. I made that decision myself, right? So now I have a public page with all these guys as the administrator of the page. So whatever comes in, whatever goes out, everybody knows. So whenever I answer a question with somebody, everybody reads. Whenever a question comes in, everybody reads it. So I'm kind of being monitored there myself, and I like that. I want myself to be kept in check, if you will, right? So in terms of talking about transparency, that is important. And a lot of couples are having joint Facebook account, which is good in countering this element of trust, right? Somebody said trust is only extended to the limit of truth and no more. Because when trust is violated and breached, especially between a couple, it is very hard to regain. So this is something that we have to really talk about as well in our family context.
Yeah. I guess like everybody is like not wanting to expose each other, but like we all still struggle with this. Like for Philly and I, like on the media field, like it demands for us to like in our line of work we have to be on have to be updated every time. We have to check up our online platforms and make sure that everything is okay, give the updates and all that. For many times I've tried to just get out of social media, but the work demands otherwise, so I have to get on. And it's not easy. It can be distracting. It takes up most of your time. And sometimes because of work, like you have to do a lot of research, you have to try and a lot of logistics and all that, so you have to be online all the time. But I'll give it to my siblings this side because they're very quiet right now because they seem to relate to each other. Yes. Well, what do you guys have to say about this topic?
Yes, I guess I'm thankful for technology. To an extent of how we communicate with each other. In the place that I work now, due to the lockdowns and restrictions in place, the only way to communicate is via technology, whether through emails or just the interaction with students. So that is the only way of communicating at the moment for me. So most of the time I would be like in terms of updating my supervisors and also the students. So throughout this pandemic, like it has really shown how the technology and social media is important in terms of communication. So yes, like what Dad was saying in terms of learning, like SLIM. So that I guess comes to the line of work that I'm involved in, and I believe me and my sister, since my sister is also a student, so like in terms of getting updates from the lecturers, in terms of learning, technology has also been a great impact in terms of advancing your learning and doing your research. And yes, I guess there are also times that it becomes addictive to a point, social media. It's just to be able to balance between the work and just your personal
time.
Personal time. I think that's the key in terms of all of this.
Betty, how about you?
Yeah, just like what Nia said, because we're doing online learning school. Like for me, I'm not used to online school. I prefer face-to-face, to be honest. But I think it's just something that we have to get used to, despite the pandemic. I've come across challenges along the way with online school, but yeah, I think I just want to get back to what Philly said about couples, new couples being transparent with each other, especially couples that have developed, families and stuff like families, especially with children. Like something that parents need to know is that we are all role models to our children, and so if we are seen using most of our time on social media, like the children will look up to us, and they will see that they will see that we draw most of our attention on social media. So whatever the parents do, the children always also do it. So for me, social media has its positive impacts, and negative impacts as well. I admit there have been times where I've been not addicted. I've spent most of my time on social media, and then more than spending time with the family. But it's a process that I think all of us are going through, and yeah.
Like Dad, what would your advice be for parents who, I like what Pedro said, children will only do what parents do.
A lot of wisdom.
A lot of wisdom coming from this side of the mat. But that is so true. Children will only do what they see their parents doing. And if they see their parents are always on Facebook or always glued to their phones, then they won't. How then will you get to know your child better if you don't interact with them a lot face to face? What would your advice be to parents who are struggling in this area where children are locked in their rooms most time or glued to their phones or tablets?
Well, as I said, right from the beginning, technology and social media is here to stay. Now, I think in one of our last episodes, I actually talked about this, where parents are no longer giving the attention to their children when their children demand their attention, especially the younger ones, the small kids. When a child cries, the sound is a message. Whether he or she has wet their pants or whatever, their clothes, or they're hungry, they want to sleep, they want to have a bath, something like that. And then what is happening today, where the parents are giving the child a smartphone or an iPad, instead of the mother's attention or the father's attention.
Right. Yeah.
This has become the norm in a lot of families, right? When the child cries because mom or dad, they are so busy doing whatever they're doing, or they're busy with the social media, Facebook, instead of attending to the child who needs human attention, who needs mom or dad's attention. And then what happens? the social media gadget becomes the mom and dad. So the child grows up getting used to this. Getting used to this. Every time he cries, he he's given this thing. So he gets used to the point where he thinks this is mom and dad.
True.
So when mom and dad then begins to speak to the child, because the child is growing up, the child is so used to the smartphone, right, that the child will rebel. So this is where parenting comes in, and it's very, very important.
Yes.
For parents especially, right? And parents also need to understand, to supervise what their children are actually watching
at
a young age. When they are given this thing, they must be given supervision. That's why if you have, say, a PC at home, it's always good to have it in the living room where everybody can see, whoever's on that PC, right? It's actually being used for learning, being used for like online learning and things like that, and not being used for a different purpose altogether.
Yeah, Dad, like what just came into mind right now is, like how parents are spending more time probably on their gadgets and not so much time with their children, that they don't even know what their children are
That's
going
right.
through. And like now we have bullying.
Yes.
Cyberbullying.
That's another.
Cyberbullying. But because parents don't spend time with their children, they don't know what their children are going through. And so many kids nowadays are going through cyberbullying.
To the point of committing suicide and having mental problem, going through depression, nervous breakdown, anxiety. They're battling this. A lot of children are battling this at a high teen level. They are battling nervous breakdown, depression because of cyberbullying, and parents are thinking there's something wrong with the child, not knowing it's because of the impact of social media on that child locked in his or her room. There were times in our days where the parents of a girl would be very careful, overcautious, trying to protect the girl, keep her at home, right? All right, don't go out there into the world. But today, you can't stop the world from coming into your home.
Right through your phones.
Right?
Right.
Right? Even if you lock your child inside her room, as long
as she has
the smartphone, the world is right there inside her room. This is where parental supervision is so critical, especially at a young age. Because at a young age, children need to be taught to talk, to communicate,
Right.
to talk. But now the moment the child cries, but the long-term effect on that child, psychologically, emotionally, and mentally, right? So parents, please remember this. When your child cries, he or she needs your attention, human attention, human affection. Now, instead of the mother's affection or dad's affection, it is the phone's affection. It's a phone's affection, the technology affection. And the child gets used to it to the point where the child thinks, okay, this is normal.
Yeah.
So the child grows up becoming mechanical rather than being human.
And befriends technology more than humans.
That's it. That's right.
There's a baby. We have a baby at home, George. I know.
And he's so adored.
We've talked about him a lot in this program. He's been with us for almost 3 months now. So thank you to the parents for allowing him to be with us. One thing I try to avoid with baby George is to giving him gadgets when he cries. I try to avoid that as much as I can, unless if we're trying to get him dressed, because he's a very hyperactive kid. So we have to try and but the only thing I show him is he only loves 2 things: dogs and trucks. So I show him dogs barking or puppies playing. That's it. Nothing else apart from that, because I don't want him to get, as he grows, to get used to that.
When you talk about that, it is important for children to enjoy their toys.
Yes.
Don't give them the smartphone. Give them toys. That's a purpose of toys.
For development as well.
Give them, while they're playing with their toys, it's developing creative ideas in them. Right? You will begin to see what they can be good at. But today, instead of the toys that we used to buy for our children, it's only one iPad. So the iPad becomes the toy. it kills creativity in the life of a child. Right? Kills creativity in the life of a child. So I think this needs to be highlighted as well.
It, like, you know, na ngono go sa liw na kay on with technology, even with babies growing, like with the technology, they've introduced development stuffs, psychological stuffs, but using iPads. No, but at the same time, my concern about that is they're befriending technology more than, you know, them being themselves to allow them to grow and, you know, enjoy their childhood. Like, we can even go, like in the 80s, people who were born in the 80s, if you're one of them, like, I never knew what this thing was until I was in Form 6 or Form 7. Then this phone started coming.
Yeah.
But we would enjoy playing playing pani, playing,
right.
you know, like all that. Like I had a social life outside of the gadgets.
And social media, unfortunately, if we are not careful, can kill that. Right? Where it, you know, it kills exercise. Young people no longer want to do exercise, physical exercise.
Okay.
Instead, they just lie down in their room.
Okay.
You see? You see?
Just exercise
So
in the
it
room.
kills human development. It kills human development. When a child is getting used to this thing, it kills even human development because that child needs to be moving around. Right? That's what, you know, talking about baby George, I love it. When I say when baby George is moving around, leave him. Leave him going around, you know, crawling around, because that's where he is developing physically as well. Give him toys. That's where he's developing mentally with creative ideas on how to use these toys. Right? So for parents who are watching and you still have small kids, please, kakuan ni santo bakarawato nga nika, may satang nga nongon ni solitu ni buwa, na lebawele ko ito, na valang nga pa kanto nonong right? It kills creativity, it kills human development, it kills mental development, it kills physical development in the life of a child. Right now, there's a place for this. So we have to make sure as parents that we do supervise our children in things like this.
Right. Okay, so Mom and Eggy hasn't said anything yet. What are your take on social media and the family? Dapat na namro nanu mambaleta na tiki na ongo.
Eu basa mataka ni dona ulutanga bimbindi nanda vital no tiki na goi. Beta ni tiko roro na kena vinaka, tiko na kena da. Da sare da tuniku na kena vinaka. Da rei da talitunga na kena da. Esa na roro ai. Weekenda na itumbu-tumbu, da sare da sona kai vinaka ibu keda ke non rambula na ngoni non rabuli. Sona esana, da rei da na kena da abir talinga na ngoni. Ia oia via bos talinga niku ina bawati, na bula ni bawati. Na non da $20 au babin binagata kay lebu. O ngai ra friend tiku maybe au ni sa klauir na bawati ndo nga non ra account babi utini. Ya indo na kabina kambaleta isindo na kay bunta kay indo birawe. Wikira umbaleto ko sa nga no Facebook. Sa bayang takatik nga nanunggun do labatiko nila ko na takabatiko na reflection na kay na bising
Yeah, for me, ladies and gentlemen, just sorry for interrupting. I don't have a private Facebook page, but in order for me to go to my public page, I need to go through one of the administrators of my page, and she happens to be one of my administrators. And because she's one of my administrators, I need to go through her page, which means she cannot hide anything from me too. Right? So this is the good thing about it. And then I cannot hide anything too, because she reads everything that comes to my page, and even my response. For those of you who used to message me, you know, and I answer back, these people being administrators of my page, they read them all. Right? So this is where.
But we keep it confidential.
Yeah, of course, we
Just
keep.
letting you know.
Okay, that's good. They keep it confidential, right? And because I need to have the people who can speak into my life. And as a father, you know, there's nobody else who can speak into your life like your wife and your children, right? They tell you like it is. They don't mince their words. So I like that, right? I'm sorry, my dear, go ahead.
Saya da bandona ngauna nero telefoni.
Iya.
Ninga inano kero sa chukwa ko na rumu. Indo ngir maybe ya na messenger. Ang kay rongo chik sa tangir na nongo tangir talaga na nona. Au sa same time no kilasar nga ya na nongo ngir ya. Nabasar mengo ko. Natamandela ko may kinabiyo na nongo ngir. Well done. Iya baleta ko na niyo saba nga takati ko na nongo message sala ko ba no na message lang may biyaw. So nango na sa $100 ko no na message o $1 yaw. So nango no $100 yaw $1 ko. Iya o kay chiki kabe kenda na bawati $100 na ka ndaro ni buntaka.
That's good.
Dondonu menda na $20 na tikina bimbingo baleta na bulan ni bawati ni kuwa lebu na lenga yado tingor ndao ngiri mai message mai baleta tiko hindo na kango na media na kena balenga tiko na bulan ni bubale bulan ni bawati baka bimbi wekemni na bawati ngone sabe ba unget seranga wekemuni ni bitala no baka lebu ni lebu na muninga una bata baka bewatini bitala no na kenango na kautanga me na lenga na bulan ni bawati baleta lebu na lenga sa yado tunikua palet sasiang na dambe bata baka bewatini nangu masumena bebu getiko na kalobe kenda na bong ni kuwa.
Benar kami pamatala saramando akani sin sangay pakawati mo. And sangay tini chuka.
Na mulai son ya kami sila bong.
Pamatala akani sin.
Like yo banding takana tikina ya. Weekend na pamimi weekend na sangi bawati bo. Hindi na todo kana vital no tak chingo. Lem nangona. Sa na matanda sa tungan ng telefon. Sa sinda ningi lak din min ng telefon ko na exercise lak kaya siang na matanga exercise juga ng telefon. Yo banding taksel ngayan kena na bawati lem nangona. Vi yaw mandau banding taka vikirau. Total nga na malumyan na telefon ya. Siyang ni hindi na ni ito na kena binaka ito na kena ba yan na kena hindi na nga ya may ko na trust may ko na naman rovin hindi na ti binano mo bang takti ko na telefon yun doon na nang rayo yaw baleta na social media wat kena matababale pamimi bekenda na toki na itobo nalakango na itobo sa koya to bitano takchika mblata ni tanginga melango ni sa solto na taluboni sa sindo nango na mababuli de kin na lube na itobo ndina wakaitoke na itobo de ndali boss taktiko na lube de sianga oi como babuli na lube na itobo ndina na itobo na itoke sa alitik menango nango na yango nada kada kani social media salele na mungo na batike no mato vale sale bunga na mungo na batike no talibuni
na itobo mbega bosa chuna kanisia na itobo ni beba ro take na kaenda kile kina na itoke ndando ni me baka tabuli de na lomani matabu vale things that we need to teach our children at a young age on the culture and the tradition of the Itaukes if you're a Tauke family or if you're a Hindu family or a Muslim family. We all have our different cultures that we need to teach our children. The culture of respect. And the culture of respect, the culture of honor, I think is common to almost everyone.
Yeah.
Right? And these are the things that we need to be teaching our children at a young age so that then when they're growing up, they understand this is what needs to be demonstrated, the kind of life they need to live. But unfortunately, most of the time, the technology of the day or the social media, the iPhones and the iPads and the smartphones are taking over this. If we are not careful as parents, So we are not against social media. I hope people understand that we're not against it, but we are trying to discuss it, both the pros and the cons. And hopefully all of us are affected by it in one way or another. We all use social media.
Yeah, since we're talking about Naitobo, manners, especially for us Itokis, like our culture is rich in so much tradition. Like I've even seen this on the social media platforms, especially on Facebook, how a lot of young people now have, lost the respect for the elderly.
Yes.
Well, just by the way they talk, the comments, like the videos they make,
Yeah.
I honestly get offended because I guess it goes back to the home, to the mom and the dad. I get offended a lot when I see a lot of disrespect from young people today to older generation, because that's not how I was taught at home. So if I see someone that I know on social media is doing something, that is not right, or is disrespecting an elder, I straight on speak my mind. So I guess for you young people, that are watching, be careful with how you use social media, and be careful how you manage your time around social media. Be careful if you're getting too addicted to social media to the point where you're locking yourself up in your room, don't want to talk to anybody, no social life because you're just stuck on your phone. That's gonna affect you in the long run.
Human relationship requires more association rather than isolation. Unfortunately, social media has brought more isolation if we are not careful. Right? If I have to get to know her better as my wife, and she has to know me better as her husband, then we need more social interaction. And social interaction means talking to each other. That brings us closer to each other. Association, the power of association. Unfortunately, social media is coming in to break that association, creating more isolation. Right? So we're seeing that young people are locking themselves in their room. They're isolating themselves from their mom and dad and from their siblings. You see? Isolating themselves from other siblings. When they need to develop that social interaction, social communication. And this is where they also learn the values of respect and honor and dignity. And the other thing too that I thought I should bring up, social media has exposed us, if you're not careful. People are deliberately just exposing themselves. Things that are supposed to be confidential and personal within the family, sometimes people cannot just control themselves. Right? They vent their anger for somebody else on social media when it's supposed to be, if I'm angry with my wife, it's just between me and her. So instead of me going to my wife and talking it over, what do?
Vent it on Facebook.
The whole world, the whole world knows about it. It's so sad to see that happen. And we see now how it is now destroying human relationships more rather than cementing the relationship. Right? And again, this is just a gadget. I mean, think about this is just a gadget. It can't do anything except what I put in. You see, we are actually the people that are controlling it. So this is important for us to understand. That's another aspect where matters of confidentiality, things that's supposed to be within the family or between the couple, is no longer hidden because people are venting their anger on somebody else or an uncle, mom or mother-in-law, father-in-law, right there on social media. Sa ako tatanin na vibororotak. Ako tatanin na viborombuti. But sa singa ni kila na tamata na puno dava me alakina.
Drawing the lines.
You don't know where to draw the lines.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've been talking so much about, the impacts of social media in our family and to everyone in the society. And I'm sure you can relate to some points that we're sharing tonight. But I'd like to say social media has made good impacts in the sense like, this platform, for one, the things that we bring to you. Another good thing about social media for me right now is the fact that I can get to watch the Olympics, and shout out to our boys for winning the gold medal. Congratulations, that's a positive impact of social media. And also when I was away last year for 8 months, the only way I could stay connected to my family was social media. And so I thank God for social media. I thank God for technology. But like we've been stressing, it's just a matter of how you manage yourself around social media and how you manage your time around it. Dad, since I'm talking about managing your time, how about for those who are struggling in their relationship with God? because of social media. Okay, one thing I get a lot is, oh yeah, well, my Bible is on my phone, the Bible app, and good on you.
Yeah.
And people don't have to carry their big Bibles now to church because they have it on their phones. What do you have to say about that? What do you think?
It comes down again to the person. Right? I have a Bible app on this one as well. But I prefer to use my own Bible, the book, instead of this one. And there's a reason why. Because it's so easy that you are on your Bible app in church and internet access is on at the same time. You're on your Bible app and then suddenly you switch off to Facebook. Right? The sermon is going, God is speaking. And people think you are reading your Bible when you're actually, because I've actually seen people during church service pretending that they are reading their Bible when they're actually either responding to an email, right, while the service is on,
I've done that.
preaching is going on, or they are putting a post up on Facebook. So I will not recommend using Bible app on your gadget while in church. I will not recommend that. Why? Because the temptation to wander away from what God is actually saying through the service is there. The temptation is high. Right? Temptation is high. I have my Bible app right here and I use it for my own research. But that's why you'll see when I'm speaking on Thursday evenings or Sundays, all right, you'll see me using the book. I hardly read from this. Right? Why? Because of the temptation. Because I've been tempted before. And I was in one of these huge international conference of Christian leaders that was held in Bali, Indonesia a couple of years back. There were about 3,000 people altogether. And we were sitting around this round table. And there was this big main session where the speaker was, he was speaking, preaching his heart out, a powerful message. And I saw these people around my table with their laptop on. And I actually thought that they were typing the message. When somebody is speaking, you type or you write down what you're hearing. And I kind of gaze into the person sitting beside me and gaze on this one. And this guy is on Facebook, and this guy is responding to email. And these are Christian leaders. Christian leaders from around the world. And when I saw that, I said, something is not right here. This is an international Christian conference. And God is speaking through his servant. But these leaders, they're onto something else. See, that's a temptation. That's a temptation. Now, please don't take me wrong. I'm not against Bible apps. But I'm saying is, if you can control it, great. But if you cannot, and if you know that you can easily wander away when you are on a Bible app and suddenly there's a message coming on your Facebook, what do you do? And then when you are having your own personal devotion, say for instance, right? And you get used to using your Bible app. What happens when somebody sends a message on Facebook? You leave your Bible app. You want to respond to the message. So who is more important then? The Facebook, the Bible app. The Facebook becomes God now. Right? So this is where we need to know where we maintain the balance, right? And where we draw the line. So for me, every morning when I'm doing my devotion, I'm reading my Bible from the book. I'm not reading from this because I know how I can be tempted as well.
But it also gives us that personal touch.
Yes.
When you have, like the Bible itself, as opposed to reading from the Bible app. Like for me, I do the same like Dad. I'd rather study from the Bible, like the visible Bible, because it kind of just, I don't know, there's just something about it that's it just hits different. Then I sometimes, because of different translations, that's when I go to my Bible app, because they have a lot of options, or research, that's been mentioned. So I would also recommend the same thing, especially for us who are in our journey with God.
Another thing too, I think should be brought up is cyberbullying. And this is another disastrous impact of social media, where people are into this habit of what do you call it, sexting or sex chatting? Huh? What's the term?
Sexting.
Sexting or sex chatting? Well, whatever it is, right? This is a huge problem, right? With the use of gadgets, if people are not careful, right? And sometimes the guy who's sexting or whatever it is, from the other side, you don't know the motive of that person. Okay? So I just want to warn people, be careful with this. Because that person can easily do something for you or against you because of this sexting or sexting. I've actually had to counsel a couple of people, right, who have been caught into this. And it's a dangerous thing to the point where a lot of people are committing suicide because of cyberbullying, because they cannot handle the pressure of being exposed on social media by somebody who takes a shot of you naked or something like that, all right, and he tries to use it against you by demanding huge sums of money or for you to do something. And when you refuse to do so, they threaten to expose you on social media. And some people, a lot of people that I know, and I know that research has shown that a lot of people have even committed suicide because of that, because they cannot take the embarrassment, the humiliation of being exposed. Right? So this is another very, very disastrous effect of social media if we are not careful in how we use it.
Well, that's a lot of discussion around this topic, but this is such a big topic. Like we can even split this into so many other subtopics, but I hope for everyone that's watching tonight that you've probably you're able to have learned something. But I would like to encourage all the parents that are watching tonight that may be struggling in this area, especially with their children. I guess it's on you, the onus is on you, parents. What's the decision you're gonna make? How are you gonna monitor your children? How do you want your children to grow up without getting addicted and sidetracked by social media? And also for you young people, if you're a young person that is always glued to your phone, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, then if you know you're at a point where you're getting addicted, especially for you, if you're a young Christian, young believer, anything that takes up most of your time, like Dad always says, takes the place of God.
Becomes your God.
And that is your God. So Facebook can be your God. TikTok can be your God if it's taking up most of your time. And when we get to Judgment Day, then you will know. But the good news for us tonight, we still have that opportunity to make things right. And you can make things right wherever you are tonight. You can make a fresh new start. You can make a fresh new decision to do better, to not get sidetracked, to place a line or boundary somewhere with how you manage yourself around social media. Do what you have to do so that you can get closer to God and not be sidetracked with what the media has to portray to you. But we hope that tonight you have been blessed. And mind you, next week is our second last episode for this season. We have only 2 more episodes to go before we end off this season, and we'll see from after this season finishes. If God wills, we will continue with season 2, but on His own time. So don't forget to join us again, same time, same place, right here at 7 p.m. for our second last episode for season 1 of From Our Family to Yours, where we will be here once again to sit and just enjoy this session and fellowship with every one of you. But before we go, I will ask my big sister Eggy to share a word of prayer for us.
Terang keluar nak balik nak kami sini nak kuah nak balik ni lama nak balik ni luta kita ni maroi nak balik terang na Prokarama na kavivi na kinikua na kwale turana rambula ira rasasar mai. Mas nungu kalok ni Thomas nambog nikua ni na bebuk sarvale bukin na rambula bakan dua mbula bakan matu vale. Na vale turanga na bisau na nuru matu vale turanga. Na wuvuai nungu kalok na bibak lumataki na rumi matu vale na kabisi na kanindai. Na kwale na nami laloma na kwale na nami ni maroi mbongi sini na kinendai utaki mo tikono kalo nomni na teder na langi na rokov na kai chichu na bakambola.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining in tonight. Don't forget, this Sunday at 10 a.m. is our communion and children's dedication service. And also next week, Thursday, is Zone at 7 p.m. And again, Friday is this program From Our Family to Yours at 7 p.m. We want to wish you a blessed weekend. And from our family to yours, we love you all. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Naka.
Misa Mother.